Well, thanks, Alan and Ryan. Today we have, as usual, Ryan Heath from Converge One Government Solutions. And we're also joined today by Alan Orr from partner organization NICE. Thanks for joining us, Alan.
Thank you for having me today.
So today we're going to be talking about AI and how AI could be leveraged in government organizations and civil agencies. Everybody knows about AI at this point, but it seems, most people are only familiar with the GPT side of AI and what AI can do in that context. Alan, what kind of challenges are you guys facing in the field today when it comes to customer requests for AI?
That's a great question. I really feel like there's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of companies that perform some version or format of AI, and so most of our customers or prospective accounts, they're thinking about the big guys that you read about every day: Amazon doing AI, Google doing AI, etc. A lot of the news that we're seeing is maybe AI gone off the rails. We've seen a few poor examples of AI serving customers. ChatGPT, of course, is one that's really, I think, brought a lot of focus to AI in to us as either citizens of a state or employees of a company. That was pretty eye-opening once people started playing with ChatGPT, run the resume through their kids in high school, writing a paper with it, etc. So I think for us, when we work to assist, one of our state customers or one of the universities, it's kind of defining the AI that we bring to the table is a little bit different than what they've seen before. And most of the time, if we allowed the time to be able to talk to them and show them that, then they get it pretty quickly.
And Ryan, how do you what's your experience in the field been with customer requests for AI?
They definitely want it part of the products that they're looking at and the solution sets. They really just don't understand how to get there, what that really entails, and really everything that's involved to be able to do that. And a lot of legacy systems behind the scenes as well. So you have, especially on the government side, you're 10 years behind on a lot of things. So getting them from 10 years, behind, in reality, they need to be ahead of schedule for a lot of things. They really need to catch up. There's a lot of things that they're looking to do with customer service right now to really serve the public, and they have all that old data. How do they kind of use those all those different legacy systems to really have a really good customer service ability?
So if I understand correctly, it sounds like, Alan, what you're suggesting is there's a challenge in the field with customers not understanding what's available to them, what AI can do for them on the back end. And then, Ryan, what you're talking about is integration and migration, being able to move from their legacy systems to these more advanced systems that are utilizing AI. I'll bring it back to Alan and ask, what are some of the technologies and processes that AI can be facilitating or enhancing?
Yeah, great question. So we use a model-based AI to try to solve specific business problems as one example. Of course, the ones that we're most familiar with are the large language model versions, right? Where I speak, it does transcription, goes off and maybe goes off to the internet like ChatGPT does. We have a version of that will go off into our knowledge management system and bring an answer back to assistant agent as a second sort of solution that we offer as well. So ours tend to focus on, solving a business problem. A subset of that would obviously be how can we help lower average handle time? Because if we can do that, it reduces cost. How can we help an agent assist a citizen or a student or alumni from a university to maybe make the transaction smaller and tighter, which again reduces that cost in AHT. What customers are really after that I'm excited about is they want to improve their associate or their employee experience. And so some of these agent assist solutions really do help with that. If I can help you, Julian, in 2 minutes, with using this tool, and maybe last week without some assistance from either AI and knowledge management, that would take me 3 or 4 minutes, right? I can see the difference. And that cut that reduction in time helps me do my job better. A side effect we see from that is citizen experience, student experience, alumni experience. That score goes up as well. So again, trying to bring some specific models in to measure things and help with things like quality. We call it analytics driven quality. We bring AI in to measure sentiment and to measure soft skills, for example. The benefits to our customers for that or from that is higher employee experience or associate experience, which again, I think that's the platinum nugget. Everybody's after the golden nugget being help me improve customer or citizen satisfaction. But I think if you invest in your people, that's really where you're going to see the results. And you will get higher customer satisfaction or transactional NPS, however you're measuring that, plus reduce costs. If I can take 20, 30 seconds off a mundane task off of my employees, then that will definitely improve their experience. In fact, they've asked us in your ACD, can you put like 10 or 15 seconds buffer so they don't just, if I take that off of them, they don't just automatically get a call. So that's really what we're hunting for, is try to help our prospective accounts and our customers, see some operational efficiencies, reducing cost and helping to improve the associate or employee experience, along with obviously citizen and customer satisfaction.
Alan, do you see it also that the standardization of like notes that are put into the system, after the call, the wrap up notes that you can do, does that really improve the system long term as well?
The next level down would be ESAT. How do I improve that, as I talked about? Then it's funny because then I want compliance. So not only is the quality of the note better, because the three of us could listen to a call, and sometimes we run a demo, we do that and ask for the consolidated note, we're going to get, 50% of it's going to be the same. What's really cool is they're like, hey, it gives me concise, a concise summary that I can then put in my CRM platform. It's focused on intent, outcomes, and actions, like what the agent said they were going to do, what the customer said they're going to do. So to your point, 100% compliance, because most people aren't having 100% of the agents doing that. And then the concise and the accuracy is much better because of that consistency, having, one AI engine, if you will, write all those notes. And where people see that, Ryan, is in two examples. If I have callbacks, so retailers, maybe the DMV, for example, I'm trying to hunt down my driver's license. I've already applied and done stuff, but I'm trying to hunt it down. So I call Julian Tuesday and I call you on Friday. You can see what Julian helped me with. He took my renewal, he took my credit card payment, he changed my address for my, Texas driver's license, whatever. So that note, either for a callback or a transfer, is really big. And the fact that we can put that in their CRM platform for them, they seem to like.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That reminds me when we were talking to Bill DeFore from NICE, and he used the metaphor of the agent. You're having your best agent sitting next to all your agents, and what you just described is almost sort of like having one manager who's able to oversee all the agents at one time and making sure that the takeaways from the conversations they're having with clients and customers are totally consistent in terms of perspective and accuracy.
Right.
So that sounds
Good
pretty
analogy.
great. Yeah. And it sounds like there's a lot of overlap, in terms of what C1 Gov is doing with NICE products and what NICE products are doing for the customer. And that overlap seems to exist in the analytics area in terms of where you are able to see and report on the outcomes of what you've done. Would you agree with that, Ryan?
Yeah. I also kind of see that, once those analytics are there, it's making those business decisions of how to adjust based on those analytics. If it's, you have all these callbacks coming in with the same types of questions, whatever it is, have different mechanisms now that the business can change to answer those, get things done a lot quicker than, previously.
And that would also inform, how C1 Gov has implemented the NICE product, right?
It's a constant thing that does need to be, looked into, because there's
Right.
so much data that you end up getting. So then what do you do with that data? What's the actionable items out of that data? How do you kind of chop that up?
And that's where C1's experience in government, I think, helps, as you guys work with us and consult with the, with the state or the university, for example, and utilizing that, because analytics isn't something you just deploy once and kind of walk away. It's something that you're using every day because business changes every day.
Yeah, and it's really, having a business partner that really understands the organization. What are their KPIs? What are they trying to solve? How can you use those analytics, to really help the business, and not just be stagnant? Especially on the government side, with helping the customer base is so large. Having things that you can easily put into place as fast as possible that can make a dramatic change. The government's known for being very slow. Putting the analytics in, having that data, you can now make quicker changes than previously.
So it makes you agile and efficient,
It
to
does.
be able to respond to everything that's going on inside the business and outside the business, right?
Yes.
When we spoke with Bill DeFore, we talked about Enlightened and as part of the product set, and you've talked about you've touched on Copilot and Autopilot. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. Enlighten is sort of our brand name, if you will, for AI. That's what we call it here at NICE. There are, again, we took billions of calls over the last 20 years doing speech to text transcription, mainly with the group that NICE bought in 2016 that was known as Nixidia. And bringing that in, and finding data, those gold nuggets, if you will, in the interaction between an associate on the phone, again, at, Texas DMV, and me as a license holder here in the state of Texas, the intents of why I called, how they helped me, etc. So we've taken that, and we've created the world's largest labeled data set that we feel like that's just solely focused on, customer interactions. We've all been on a call and have heard, obviously, we know the call's being recorded, but we've all heard, hey, the computers are slow. Can you wait for a second for me while I find that? And there's this, non-talk time or dead time, which analytics will point out for you. So whether that's a broken process, a broken website, there's no connectivity out of the building, to the data center for the state, whatever the reason may be, or training issue, then we want to continue to help them. And so our agent assist solution is known as Enlightened Copilot. And again, it brings in that AI that understands the models and what folks are looking for. And then I believe in your discussion with Bill, y'all talked about using the CX1 expert knowledge management system, and how business constitution lives in there, policy lives in there, process lives in there, along with articles, et cetera, that you would have in a standard knowledge management solution. And so that's what brings the answers to the questions that a citizen may ask, or that would bring the renewal form for a driver's license. And then the agent for Texas DMV can say, hey, would you like, Alan, for me to text this to you or to email it to you? And because it's ingrained within the NICE CX1 platform that C1 helps us deliver to your customers, they can just click a button and boom, I've got that renewal form, just as an example. So that's kind of how we solve for that. Again, the high level is, how can I improve employee satisfaction, reduce cost, and increase, in my case, in the example I use, citizen experience.
So, Alan, it really sounds like it's kind of the journey mapping, portion, analyzing what the customer needs, the friction points that they might have, kind of like streamline that process to give them easy access,
Exactly.
for all the different touch points they might have as well.
Yeah. So if I take what you said, maybe half a step further away, and we'll leave helping an agent. And Ryan, take what you just said and apply that to me doing my own customer service my own self-service, without an agent. So I'm going to transition from a human resource, to a virtual agent, to an artificial resource. And so we bring the learnings out of those call recordings from the human agents, again, score them for the ability to move to self-service. Also, the high CSAT ones, we take the low CSAT ones out, obviously, and then learn those intents. And then how would I ask to renew driver's license? That sounds really simple, but a lot of bots will break in that they don't understand a variance of that. Hey, I need to get my DL. Hey, I need to renew my card so I can keep driving. There's just all those utterances, for lack of a better term, or ways to say the same phrase. That's what we're trying to capture out of the system. And then knowing if I call about, renewing my license, there's a high likelihood I may change my address. So the artificial agent's got to be quick on their feet, just like the human agent, to be able to handle both of those intents, as an example. So again, bringing in that historical data for how the best human agents, being the highest scored calls, right? How they would handle that transaction, and programming an IVA with the knowledge management, providing you the guardrails. So I can't manipulate the chatbot and say, hey, when you and I are finished, I have a binding contract. Do you agree? Chatbot says yes. And then I'm going to negotiate a vehicle with you. Do you have the ability to do that? Yes. Would it lead to a binding contract? Yes. Okay, I want to buy this Chevy Tahoe. Here's the VIN number, and I'm going to pay $1 for it. And the chatbot said, deal done. Here's the paperwork. So to keep you from being able to manipulate the system, so to speak, that's where that knowledge management on the other half of the solution, if you will, really keeps things on rails and off the rails and out of the ditch.
Yeah, so I just had a DMV issue. So I lost my license, couldn't find it. And, stressed for about a week of, okay, now I got to schedule an appointment, go to the DMV. Where am I going to get that time from? That's probably going to be 4-6 hours out of my day to do it. Go online, can't find an easy answer to that question. So hit the chat bot, say, hey, I lost my license. Can I schedule an appointment to get a new one? It popped up, would you like to pay $17 right now for me to ship it to you? Those are the kinds of things, as a taxpayer, I think really add value to what I pay for.
I mean, Ryan, think of the money that the state saved. I mean, that became a 50 cent, 40 cent transaction, right? Instead of taking 2 hours out of your life at X number of, dollars an hour of revenue you generate for you and your family to feed your kids, at the same time, whatever the cost is for the state for that, hour. So CSAT went way up, but, again, operational efficiency, what a great cost reduction. And I feel like that's where, NICE bringing forth these agent assist solutions and these customer self-service solutions and the analytics to help understand when the mayor's getting hammered in New York City, about, an issue, whatever the case may be, he's going to call, the Department of X in New York City and say, why am I getting these phone calls? And be able to find why with analytics. Hey, there's a big spike because the payroll system broke and we didn't pay the employees, or just whatever that may be, right? To be able to find that, I think, in using AI to help drive those insights. And Ryan, to the point you made earlier about, data's king, and there's data laying all around the company, but the data that's in that interaction that we can pull out, especially on those voice calls, is just really, really valuable.
Before we run out of time, though, Ryan, I want to touch on a little bit more on the C1 side, C1 Gov side, systems integration and dealing with legacy systems and migrations. What does that look like in terms of bringing organizations up to speed in leveraging AI and handling legacy systems at the same time?
Yeah, so it's really understanding what they're trying to do, what the organization is trying to solve, how to get access to that information. If it's APIs, if it's built in a web service that taps into it, getting that data to make those decisions. There's a lot of times where we have to do large deployments where we have very old legacy databases that we basically extracted and put into the new system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a possibility as well. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could do all three at the same time. It depends how many different things you're going to tie into. But the more things you can tie into to get that information and that data, the more outcomes, the more things that you can actually use the analytics, the AI to perform, especially on the self-service side. It's just you're taking an old organization that really needs to get up to speed. And the end customer is starting to expect that. All the young kids coming up, they don't actually make phone calls that much anymore. All my kids are in high school. They freak out if they have to call, ahead to order something. Like, wait, no, there's no app for it. They don't know what to do.
Or actually have to go somewhere to do it, like the bank branch or DMV.
Oh, no idea. It totally freaks them out. So their expectation is 100% self-service. So tying that all together and making it, real easy for them is the key.
So it sounds like there are going to be some processes involved here. Let's say, for example, C1 Gov is interfacing with a client who's looking to modernize their systems, their customer, their contact centers, their customer experience. And C1 Gov is going to leverage NICE, the relationship with NICE products and colleagues to do that. What does this process look like from my perspective as a C1 Gov or a NICE customer?
Yeah, and this is kind of, there's two parts to that. There's the, especially in the very large contact centers, there's usually RFPs and things that are, guidelines that we have to bid towards. That's kind of the issue that I see right now in the current government. We are bidding to do replacements, not really optimization. So it's the optimization part that takes extra time. It's real easy for us to go through one contact center, switch it over to NICE, get a like for like. That doesn't get you anything, outcome wise, too much different. You start getting the analytics, you start getting a little bit more detail, which is great, but it's really the optimization and putting all those other things in place to really modernize the solution set and provide different outcomes. So it's a two-part thing really when we do these projects. It's phase one, kind of switch over phase two, and that's a long-term phase two. I mean, I don't see phase two really dying off. It needs to be an ongoing thing, but it's every 6 months, every quarter, whatever it is, to kind of really do improvements.
Yeah, it's a great point, Ryan. When you get RFPs, they talk at least the ones that I participated in personally over the last 6 months. They talk a little bit about AI, but most of the direction of the RFP is help me take this old 10, 20-year-old AC, call router ACD out. We don't have to get into technology and help me move to the cloud. But it's the more the focus is on that, which is your phase one, I assume, in the example that you're talking about. And okay, you're getting, it's newer technology. It's not necessarily like for like, but the moving the needle types of applications that help me assist agents and help me better self-serve my citizens and customers. That's the foundation, but it's that phase two part or optimization, as you meant it, that's where the rubber meets the road. And we're just not seeing a lot of focus on that. It's on that phase one. And to your point, that phase two kind of, that optimization kind of 2 years later, 3 years later kind of gets pushed out. Do you guys see the same thing?
Oh, 100%. And that's really the big issue that I see with this. I think it's just not understanding the whole process that actually, what it entails to get to that outcome. And it's, at that point, it's kind of like a technology spend to switch over, but then it needs to be an operational spend for the ongoing piece to get the outcomes.
And with your government consulting folks, don't you feel like I can do, while I'm putting the core platform in, working with IT on the technology, I can also be sitting with the business or the operations and gather up their requirements for what they want? Do you feel like you can do those at the same time in parallel so that phase two can come faster once the technology settled in? And you got to build the house before you start moving the furniture in.
Yeah. And that is what we would love to do. It's the way that things are kind of segmented within the governments, that the agencies that we're in. So it's kind of getting it done and then putting those phase two pieces together and getting that trust to actually get to those other business units to talk through those improvements.
Right.
And that just takes some time. Unfortunately, it'd be great to have all that done at once. I just haven't seen an organization or an agency understanding what that takes and the willingness to do that.
Right. That's a great point. I see it more on the commercial side, if that makes sense, but it's still rare. You'll get a prospective client for us, and they will see this is where I want to go, and they'll give us the opportunity to talk to them about, I can get you there faster, while we're changing the technology out with that handful of resources. But at the same time, if I can work with the folks that are going to use the system and figure out how they want to get where they want to go, et cetera, then we can kind of start rolling this stuff in. You got to have the house a bit before you move furniture in. You don't want to put your couch in and the windows aren't up and the roof's not on and it gets ruined. So we're not saying that, but they can come, I can do the consulting that C1 Gov does, up front while that's going in. I just see it's like 10% or less, whether it's a state, local education government organization or the federal government or commercial. I just see that being so low. And so they're losing the opportunity to try to get to where they want to get faster. So that's something I just wish in the whole marketplace, both government and non-government, that that folks would breathe a little bit. And if they've chosen a partner like NICE and C1 to help them on the project, then talk to me about how you have done this, right? Because that's where our experience together can come in and really help them. And I just wish we would have a few more conversations like that, upon RP award, or, before they award it. Let's think through how we would do this, and what do you guys think is a comfortable timeline? And they have to decide if they can keep up with us. If we're running too fast, that's fine. We can slow down.
And the positive thing about that, there's a federal mandate for customer experience, which brings in the contact center, it brings in the website. So there's a lot of different things that it touches. So the intent is there. It's getting the agencies to figure out how to get together to solve that intent.
So it's pretty clear, just by the past few minutes of this conversation, that Convergent Government Solutions and NICE are very adept at working together and bringing these solutions forward and making a big difference for the organizations that you're working for. Before we wrap up, is there anything that either of you would like to add, in terms of what the process looks like, what the opportunities are, what sort of next steps might be for someone watching this and looking to make a move in this direction?
You want to go first, Ryan?
Even though we've been talking about kind of, phase one, phase two, getting that whole holistic piece together, you do need to start somewhere. So I wouldn't just encourage anybody of not starting because they can't do the whole picture. You got to get that foundation in first before you can actually do, real large intent of customer experience. So getting the right platform in place, getting that all kind of connected with all the different, data that you want, the analytics on, the AI, et cetera, is phase one, no matter what.
I agree. I would say you need to also have a vision for where you want to be. In the RFP, tell me what you're trying to solve for. Hey, my budget's tight. I need anything I can do to help, save costs, for example. And they list that, but there's not a lot of thought or reasoning behind it, because I think that would drive, this phase one, phase two we talked about, and make that a little bit tighter. So, I would say, if I was a state or a university or a city or the federal government, I would approach us, NICE and C1 Gov, and just say, hey, I need to solve for this problem. I can't hire enough people. I know that's a problem for most contact centers. I can't hire enough people. How are some ways you can help me do that? And to Ryan's point, sometimes you don't have to put the whole solution in. Sometimes you can put pieces in and work. Let's work on self-service, and let's take what you're doing on that old technology today with humans, and again, let's build out a new self-service platform for you. Okay, now let's build out the section that will help the agents to help the humans when they are working with people. Now I got you covered on both sides. If someone calls in or chats with the human, or they can work with the virtual or artificial agent just like they would the human, as we've talked about earlier, then I've got both sides covered. And it doesn't have to be a complete, flip out. You need some key components for both of those. But, what's your vision? What's your timeline? How quick do you need to move? And what are you trying to solve for? I understand that things, I get a car and it's old. My wife's, was driving a 2005 Denali XL with, 3 kids and soccer teams. I've got a soccer player who's 28. I got a baseball player who's in high school right now, about to graduate. And man, we just ran that poor truck. We would pull a big camper and go camp. We just wore that thing in the ground. So I asked my wife, okay, what do you want? Right? Well, I need something that's smaller. It's easier to park. I mean, here it comes, right? I don't want black. You always give me a black car. I want a white one. So she didn't have Toyota this, Ford that, Chevy this off the top of her head. She started listing out, I want to be able to park it quick, but I need to get the groceries in, and I need to be able to put 4 or 5 kids in it, that type of thing. And just think like that, and come talk to C1 and Gov and NICE, and let's have a discussion on how we can help you find a vehicle that you could park easily, still get your groceries in, and haul your kids and their friends around with.
Yeah, I really like these answers. I mean, Ryan, if what I hear you saying is, it can be daunting to look at the situation, and because you don't know what the problems are, what the solution might be, it can be daunting to even think about getting started. And Alan, what I hear you saying is, let's just start with the, what's the problem that you're trying to solve? What does the solution maybe look like? And we can figure out how to get you from here to there. But it sounds like, most importantly, what it really all starts with is a phone call or an email or, maybe a message on LinkedIn. So we'll leave it there for today. And I think this has been a really incredible discussion. We've covered a lot of ground, a lot of insightful information about how AI can be leveraged to help the organizations that you work with. Anyone watching, please be sure to like us and subscribe and share this with anyone who might be interested in the content that we have here. And again, look in the description below for information about how you can reach out to Converge One Government Solutions and or NICE to start working with them on a solution to your problems. And thanks, Alan, again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Julie and Ryan. It was a great conversation. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I definitely enjoy working and partnering with C1 Gov. We're working together in New York City right now, as you have mentioned. So those projects tend to work out really well for those clients, and I enjoy working with you guys. You're experts in what you do, and I don't have to know everything about government because you guys already do.
Yeah, appreciate it, Alan. Together we have the toolkit to help.
Well said. Thank you.
And thanks as always, Ryan. Always good to be with you on these episodes, and looking forward to our next one. And thanks to all of you for joining us, and have a great day.